It is 9:05 on the 13th of February. It's a Friday. I'm looking to build a small business finance brand from scratch, from 0 followers and no social media platforms. I'm looking to essentially reach as many small business owners as possible to help translate their finances so they understand what's going on and they can make the best decisions. So, although this is day 1 of me making these videos, it's actually day 11. I've created an X profile. I have created a YouTube channel and created the bio. I've also created a Instagram profile, which is completely empty. I'm currently trying to figure out the best way to create the content and post the content to reach the most people as possible. So the strategy for X is to post about 1 to 2 times a day. Then I'm looking to reply to 20 to 30 people. I'd probably split that up into replying to 10 people in the morning, 10 people at lunch, and then 10 people in the evening. The first week, I was kind of trying to get all the replies out, but the reality is people are posting throughout the day. So if I can do 10 replies in the morning to people that have kind of posted late the prior evening, then 10 replies at lunch to then get the people that have been posting during the morning, and then in the evening, I can obviously reply to 10 people who have been posting throughout the day. I've also been preparing some carousels for Instagram in Canva. I'm probably going to try and progress some of those today. The key things that I want to get done is today I have a client that needs me to help them put together a W-2 for an employee. I also have a few files that I need to review. The bookkeeping's been done. I just need to do the analysis, make sure the bookkeeping is correct, and then I need to schedule some calls with the clients to walk them through their finances. I need to then check in with the team, make sure that the deadlines that are coming up, we're still on track, we can still hit them. And once all of that's done, obviously it's just going to be checking messages, making sure that nothing's on fire, and then figuring out the content creation side of things. When am I going to post on YouTube? How am I going to post? What B-roll do I need? I spent a lot of yesterday trying to film random things. I had zero direction, zero idea what I was doing. And honestly, a lot of the content is completely unusable because it has no flow to it. So I spent a lot of yesterday going through YouTube videos and trying to figure out the best way to structure a vlog, the best way to kind of catalog what I'm trying to do and bring as many people along as possible, whilst also finding the time to create the content that's actually going to add the value. There's no point in me documenting how I'm building a brand and then not actually trying to build a brand. I also want to have about 10 days worth of content for X, Twitter, in the chamber. So I need to have a look through Typefully, which is what I use to schedule my posts. I need to make sure that everything is ready for the next 10 days so that I can just focus on replies. And then I think once a week, I'll probably re-up the content pipeline and make sure that I'm not caught short. So yeah. Time is 1:18 in the PM. I was planning on doing a lot of client work. I managed to get a decent chunk done. There is still a mountain to get through, but I'm getting through it. I managed to spend a few minutes filming the how to manage your expenses like a CFO. So that will probably be converted into some reels. I'll also keep it in the YouTube video just so that it's long form content that people can enjoy as well. I also spent some time going through my X content pipeline on Typefully, and I've managed to edit some of those down so that they're not as long and the punctuation makes sense. I spent a lot of the morning doing B-roll filming, but unfortunately I had my phone set to 4K 60 FPS and I had no idea that it was going to be so data intensive when I was trying to upload the videos to Google Drive. So I have had to reduce it down to 1080p 30 FPS, and hopefully it will be a lot easier to upload and I'll be able to turn those around quicker when I want to edit them. So that was a bit of a learning curve, but we move. Feeling fairly tired, but I have 2 client calls this afternoon to run through financials. So I am going to need to prep those. But first I need to do my 10x replies as it is lunchtime and have some food. And then I will be jumping back into it. Yeah. So we're going to go through very quickly how I, as a fractional CFO, will review expenses so that you can then copy my process and review your own expenses. So it usually takes about 10 minutes a month, which is honestly pretty ideal. Change that color. I have to do this for a large number of clients, so it's really key that I do it in a way that catches as much as possible, but also allows me to not be bogged down with the amount of information I'm having to go through. So it's really key to make sure that you spend as little time as possible reviewing them, but doing it properly so that you can work on your business rather than in your business. So the first step is to pull your profit and loss. So the majority of small businesses will use platforms such as QuickBooks Online, Xero, FreshBooks, Zoho, Wave. If you're using any of those platforms, it's pretty much intuitive in terms of how to pull that information. You literally just go to reports and you can search for your profit and loss or your balance sheet or your general ledger, whichever report you're looking for. Pull the profit and loss, go to your reports, extract them, and then when you do that, make sure you include the prior month. Variance analysis is the next step. So what we want to do is we want to compare the revenue and the expenses and the cost of goods sold against your prior month. Now, there are a few expense lines that are going to scale with revenue. A lot of those will be cost of goods sold, but some of these will be fixed. So obviously, when we're doing variance analysis, we want to compare current month against the prior month. Usually, as a good rule of thumb, I like to do 5%. If there's a big 5% movement, I'll drill into it. But if there isn't, if it's fine, kind of consistent, then it really doesn't matter. There are things that are fixed that I wouldn't expect to move. For example, for my personal finance, my insurance payments, my phone contract, things like that, I'm not expecting those to change. So if they do change even slightly, I'd want to check why. There are things that shouldn't change at all, like rent, for example. Rent's pretty consistent. So if there is any changes, I'm going to be looking into that as well. So any unexpected spikes, obviously, we're going to want to look into, and then just make sure you flag it. And so if you're too bogged down, then definitely flag it to your bookkeeper. They should be able to drill in and give you some analysis. They should be doing that anyway. But if they're not, you can definitely prompt them to do that. So the next is to review the key accounts. So things like payroll, cost of goods sold, revenue. Obviously, you're running the business. The bookkeeper doesn't know how well sales are doing. If you have an absolutely incredible month, revenue goes down, the bookkeeper is not going to know that revenue shouldn't have gone down. They might think it's a slow month for you, but you know it was a busy month, so that's going to flag an issue. Review those key accounts. Make sure cost of goods sold makes sense in terms of its proportionality to revenue. And then payroll. Is payroll moving? Did someone leave? If someone left, payroll is going to go down. Obviously, if payroll then goes up, there might be a misallocation. There might be some issues that you need to look into. So definitely review the key accounts. Step 4 is to drill into the variances. So this is really you can kind of do it in tandem with the variance analysis step. The first step is just to kind of get a good sense check of how everything moved for the month. But if there are any sort of large changes, then I'd want to drill into those. So again, the cost of goods sold, the revenue, and then sort of certain lines in your operating expenses. So if your bank charges, or say you sell via Stripe, you're expecting your Stripe fees to be 3% of your revenue. If it doesn't, then there might be other things lumped in there that shouldn't be. Or if there are no fees, it may be that the bookkeeper is accounting for your revenue net of those fees, and they actually need to pull it out and categorize it separately. So things to look for, not huge, but it gives you a really good understanding of your expenses. Next is kind of related to your expenses, but it's something that I always check because it's incredibly important. And I think that the balance sheet is slept on a lot, but I would suggest pulling your balance sheet. Essentially, cash is king and cash lives on your balance sheet. If you have on your profit and loss that you incur $50,000 of expenses a month, but then you look at your balance sheet and you only have $5,000 in the bank account, you're going to struggle to pay next month's expenses. Key things like rent, payroll, you're going to not be able to meet those payments, and it's going to cause you big issues. So when you're reviewing your expenses, make sure you also have cash that can facilitate the following month's expenses, if not 2 months. If you don't have that, then the priority is prioritizing your accounts receivable and your accounts payable. And that leads us on to step 6, which is to check your receivables and your payables. So you should check who owes you money. If you can chase someone, or if there's debt that's outstanding that you can follow up on and get paid, then you should 100% be doing that. You need that cash to come into the bank so that you can use it. It doesn't matter whether you've invoiced them and it's showing you revenue on your profit and loss and you've made a big profit. That doesn't matter if they haven't actually paid you. If you don't have cash in the bank, you can't pay rent, you can't make payroll, and employees don't care if you had a good revenue month. They care if they get paid their salary. And then who do you owe money to? Is there anyone that you can defer? Are there any payment plans that you can enter? If you've got a big vendor and they charge you for a big amount of money up front, can you ask them to, pay them in installments over a certain period of time? You want to keep as much cash in your bank as possible at all times. You have to prioritize your cash flow regardless of if you have a profit or if you have a loss. A lot of information to process, but you can do it in 10 minutes. So I would quickly open the profit and loss. I'd quickly open the balance sheet. I would compare current month to prior month, see if there's anything that jumps out at me, drill into any of those variances, and then review that I have cash to meet the expenses that are coming up. Obviously, key one is rent and payroll, but everything, you need to make sure that you can cover that. We are done with work. That was a incredibly stressful day. The client calls in the evening were brutal. My advice to everyone is to double check their bookkeeper's work. We had a client that was holding on to funds for a real estate project on behalf of their client and spending it, and their bookkeeper was not allocating it against funds held in trust. They were going through the profit and loss. So the business did not have any idea how they were performing financially. They didn't know how to invoice their markups properly, and they had no idea what to tell their client when the client asked, "How much of my money have you got left?" So that was brutal, but now resolved. I spent some of the afternoon watching CapCut tutorials. I spent some of last night as well. I've edited the video clips from this morning, and it's honestly super chill. So I think I'm going to focus on getting all the B-roll and the talking head sections in a format that I like, and then I will figure out what to do from there. But I am drained. I am going to do my 10 replies for X. That will make it 30 for the day. And I'd like to try and get a bit more B-roll of me editing, maybe some bits of me making dinner, and then I'll upload and hopefully try and finish off the edit tonight.